Namaskar and welcome. You're watching News Night on DD India. I'm Sakal Bhatt. Well, government has sent out a very clear message ahead of Monday's budget session of Parliament that the centre stands by the offer made to the agitating farmers. Also at the same time reaching out to agitating farmers for a dialogue and reaching out to opposition to let the House function smoothly and also allow debates happen on every issue. On News Night tonight, we talk about government's willingness to assuage agitating farmers in order to break the logjam. I'm Sakal Bhatt, and on News Night tonight, here are the headlines first. Prime Minister Narendra Modi addresses all-party meeting of budget session of Parliament, assures of approaching the farmers' issue with open mind, reinforces the centre's stand announced on 22nd of January. Referring to January 26 Red Fort violence, Prime Minister says law will take its own course. As many as 84 people have been arrested and 38 FIRs registered so far in connection with the violence that broke out during the farmers' tractor rally on Republic Day. FSL team meanwhile collects evidence from Red Fort premises, the epicenter of Jan 26 violence. Delhi police collects crucial evidence in connection with the Friday blast outside Israel embassy. Team of National Security Guard or NSG also visits explosion site to examine characteristics of explosives used. Investigations underway meanwhile. India's total active caseload further shrinks to less than 1.7 lakh. Active caseload now consists of less than 1.6% of India's total positive cases. Meanwhile, India's recovery rate has reached nearly 97%. More than 35 lakh people vaccinated and about 5,72,000 vaccinated on a single day on Friday. BJP National President JP Nadda on his three-day visit in Tamil Nadu and Puducherry visits Meenakshi Amman Temple in Madurai and offers prayers, attends a meeting with Tamil Nadu BJP Core Committee members. Mahatma Gandhi's 73rd death anniversary is being observed across the country as Martyrs' Day. President, Vice President and Prime Minister pay floral tributes to the Father of Nation at Rajghat. Various programs held across the nation. Prime Minister Modi takes cognizance of the vandalism of Gandhi's statue in the US state of California. Prime Minister condemns the act, saying that such an atmosphere of hate is not welcome for our planet. Major breakthrough for security forces in Anantnag district of Kashmir Valley. Jaish module busted. Huge cache of arms and ammunition recovered. Police arrest terrorists and their aides. And now for the top story in detail. On Saturday, Prime Minister addressed all-party meeting of the budget session of Parliament and made government stand clear on farm laws. That the centre is inclined to continue to talk with the farm leaders and discuss with open mind, and also that the government's proposals to farmers on 3 agriculture law still stands. Earlier, centre had offered to stay the implementation of the contentious laws for a period of around 12 to 18 months in an attempt to break the deadlock. We have more details in this report on all-party meeting.
Government continues to reach out to the agitating farmers by keeping the option of engaging with the farmers on the 3 agricultural reform laws open. On Saturday, Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed the all-party meeting on the budget session of Parliament. The Prime Minister reiterated the government's stand on the farm laws, saying it's the same as it was on the 22nd of January, and the proposal given by the Agriculture Minister still stands. Prime Minister assured that the government is approaching the issue of the farm laws with an open mind. PM Modi emphasized the Agriculture Minister is just a phone call away for taking forward the talks.
Whatever on that day, on the 11th negotiation, we had said that government is open for the discussion. With this message, that meeting was ended, and Honorable Agricultural Minister on that day, he has said that I am a phone call away from you. Whenever you give a call, I am ready for discussion. This is what Agricultural Ministry has said, that Prime Minister has said whatever the Agricultural Ministry has made the statement on that day, it stands good.
On references made by the leaders on the unfortunate incident on the 26th of January, the Prime Minister said that the law will take its own course. Prime Minister Modi said that the government is open to detailed discussion on issues raised by the leaders in the meeting. He reaffirmed the importance of smooth functioning of Parliament and comprehensive debates on the floor of the House. The Prime Minister added, it is for the bigger parties to ensure that Parliament functions smoothly, so that there are no disruptions and thus the smaller parties are able to voice their views in Parliament.
माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने कहा कि हम सब मिलके हम जो कंट्रीब्यूट कर सकते हैं उसके लिए सब मिलके प्रयास करना चाहिए. उसके लिए जो कुछ भी चर्चा आप करना चाहते हैं उसके लिए सरकार तैयार है, लेकिन आप बड़े पार्टी इंक्लूडिंग बीजेपी, प्रधानमंत्री जी ने शब्द इस्तेमाल किया इंक्लूडिंग बीजेपी, आप सब बड़े पार्टी को ये कहिए आप कृपया डिसरप्शन मत करिए.
छोटे जो पार्टीज ऑल पार्टी मीटिंग्स में योगदान किया था उनका आज एक मांग था कि उन्हें भी समय दिया जाए, सदन में चर्चा करने में उनको भी समय दिया जाए. समय की कमियां उनका होते हैं. तब प्रधानमंत्री जी को ये कहना है कि देखिए बड़ा पार्टी ज़्यादा समय ले लेते हैं, कभी हो हल्ला में बड़ा पार्टी को तो कोई नुकसान नहीं होते, और उसमें उन्हें एनडीए के भी नाम लिए हैं. एनडीए भी है, दूसरे बड़ा पार्टी है.
Members cutting across party lines commended the Prime Minister on the successful launch of the world's largest vaccination drive. On Saturday, NDA allies also met to chalk out the agenda during the budget session of Parliament. On Sunday, Chairman of the Rajya Sabha M. Venkaiah Naidu has called leaders from various political parties for a meeting. The budget session of Parliament commenced on the 29th of January and the first phase will last till the 11th of February. The general budget will be presented on the 1st of February by Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman. In the first phase, a motion is moved in both houses thanking the President for his address, and a broad debate and discussion on the presidential address as well as the general budget takes place. With Shailendra Mishra, Newsnight Desk, DD India.
And more so, after holding nearly 11 rounds of talks with the farmers' representatives, the government has once again made it clear that it is willing to take these talks further. Though the agitating farmers, remember, they seem to be adamant about their demands. The agitation has been now sullied after the Republic Day mayhem at Lal Killa unleashed in their names. And many farmers, now remember, farmer groups have withdrawn from these agitation. They have distanced themselves, while others have strongly slammed the vandalism that happened on 26th of Jan.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has reiterated the government's open-mindedness to addressing the farmers' concerns about the agricultural reforms. However, the proxies of the agitating farmers remain stubborn and have created roadblocks both literally and figuratively to any timely resolution. Despite the Supreme Court's intervention and the government's reconciliatory initiatives in response, some agitating farmer groups continue with adamant demands.
Farmers organizations को भी चाहिए कि उनकी स्टेज के ऊपर जो एलिमेंट, वो क्रिमिनल एलिमेंट अगर कब्जा करता है, उनकी रैली जो वो निकालते हैं उसको क्रिमिनल एलिमेंट हाईजैक करते हैं और देश के तिरंगे का अपमान करते हैं, उसको रोकने का काम तो उनका है.
These agitations are taking a toll on the local residents. They showed their displeasure and clashed with the protesters at the Singhu border on Friday. Security was consequently increased. Central paramilitary forces have been deployed, reinforcing Delhi police's deployments. 44 people have been arrested, including the man who attacked the police with a sword in Friday's violence.
खत्म हो जाना चाहिए, बिल्कुल खत्म हो जाना चाहिए. हम तो ये चाहते हैं कि या तो इनका आंदोलन खत्म हो या तो ये साइड कहीं साइड में बैठ के अपना आंदोलन करें. कम से कम रोड तो खाली करते हैं.
रोज सुबह इतना ज्यादा चल के जाना पड़ता है, जॉब के लिए इतनी ज्यादा स्ट्रगल कर रहे हैं, तो प्रॉब्लम तो हो ही रही है सब.
Families of policemen staged a solidarity protest at Shahidi Park. They stood in solidarity with the police personnel who were attacked by an unruly mob of agitators on Republic Day.
मांग यही है हमारे को, ये कुछ ये जिन्होंने उपद्रव किया है उनको सख्त सख्त एक्शन किया जाए, खिलाफ उनको अरेस्ट किया जाए.
The tinderbox situation has forced Delhi police to stop internet services at Singhu, Ghazipur and Tikri borders till 11 p.m. on Sunday as a precaution. Roads leading to National Highway 24 in Delhi have been closed. On Republic Day, several miscreants had broken into the Red Fort complex and, in the name of the farmers' agitation, vandalized the iconic structure. Delhi Crime Branch and forensic team visited the site and gathered evidence.
लाल किले की थोरोली जांच की जा रही है। जितने भी फोरेंसिक एविडेंस हमें यहाँ मिलेंगे हम उनको कलेक्ट करके क्राइम ब्रांच को हैंडओवर कर दें फर्दर एग्जामिनेशन के लिए। कोई भी चीज़ को छोड़ा नहीं जा रहा है यहाँ पे और इस केस को बहुत जल्दी ही रिपोर्ट करा जाएगा। हमारी 2 टीमें यहाँ पे लगी हुई हैं इस टाइम पे। जो भी चीज़ें तोड़फोड़ वाली जो चीज़ें मिल रही हैं वो हम हैंडओवर करते जा रहे हैं।
Farmers across the country have reacted sharply to their reputations being sullied by vested interests.
दिल्ली में किसान आंदोलन के रूप में जो लोग काम कर रहे हैं, हमें नहीं लगता कि ये किसानों के हित के लिए काम करते हैं या इनके मन में कोई किसानों के प्रति संवेदना है।
11 rounds of talks have taken place between farmers' representatives and the government. The government is ready to take this further. Though the agitating farmers still seem adamant about their demands, their agitation has been sullied after the Republic Day mayhem unleashed in their names. Many farmers' groups have withdrawn from the agitation, while others have strongly criticized its vandalism. Mukesh Shukla's report, DD India.
Meanwhile, in Madhya Pradesh, Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan has transferred 400 crore rupees into the bank accounts of 20 lakh farmers under the Chief Minister's Farmers Welfare Scheme. He said further installments would be paid in February and March as well. Shivraj Singh Chauhan has accused his predecessor, the former Chief Minister and Congress leader Kamal Nath, of trying to destroy the crop insurance scheme.
23 तारीख को तो कोरोना आ गया। अब कोरोना में हमको लगा कि कुछ करके गए होंगे कमलनाथ। रात में जब वल्लभ भवन पहुंचे तो होश उड़ गए हमारे, कोई व्यवस्था ही नहीं थी। अब एक तरफ कोरोना से जूझना था, टैक्स आ नहीं रहा था, पैसा थे नहीं, लेकिन हमने जब फाइलें खोली तो पता चला दादा कमलनाथ 2200 करोड़ रुपया फसल बीमा योजना के प्रीमियम की राशि ही खा गए, जमा ही नहीं की। ये ऑन रिकॉर्ड में कह रहा हूं, 2200 करोड़ रुपया प्रीमियम की राशि जो किसानों की जमा करनी थी, दादा कमलनाथ ने जमा ही नहीं करी।
We're going to take a short commercial break. After the break, we're going to talk about our talking point on Newsnight tonight, Centre Open for Talks, and the larger messaging of the government in the all-party meeting taken by the Prime Minister today. But after the break, stay with us.
Countrymen and friends, let us therefore carry on the fight for liberty inside India and outside India with all our strength and vigor.
Thanks for staying with us on Newsnight. Let's move on to the talking point on Newsnight tonight. Farmers Agitation Centre Open for Talks. And to talk about it, the larger messaging of the government at the all-party meeting that was presided over the Prime Minister today ahead of the budget session of Parliament on Monday. We're joined by Praful Ketkar, editor, organizer and RSS ideologue. Praful, namaskar and thank you so much for joining us on Newsnight tonight. Just quickly, just to put in perspective, the larger message driven across by the government today, not only for the fact that it's willing to engage with the agitating farmers despite the Lal Killa mayhem that happened on 26th of January, but the fact that all parties, the government trying to reach out to all parties to bring them on the same page and let the House function smoothly. You can have your difference of opinion, you can have your debates on other issues.
Sakal, this is another, attempt by the government to present, reconciliatory. Because, frankly speaking, your electoral politics can continue. Your whatever is your, political interest, you can stand by that. You can corner government. You can question government. But once you create a rupture at 2 levels, one at the societal level, where the society gets divided either on the religious or class or caste line, or you do not allow parliament to function, so the rupture takes place at another level in the legislative process, then it's very difficult to address the national concerns. perhaps government has given another chance, because last 2 days, the way opposition parties have played an instigatory role for the farmers to continue the agitation, that is really worrying. That is really worrying because after 26 incident, farmers organization had almost, accepted
Yes.
that this shouldn't have happened. And today when we are, today is Mahatma Gandhi's death anniversary, the father of Satyagraha, and he has given a clear-cut mandate about a movement. And we know what happened during the non-cooperation movement, but about such movement, he had given a clear-cut mandate. One, he said it should be only by the trained satyagrahis. If it really want to be peaceful, it has to be really trained satyagrahis. Two, the leadership who will take the responsibility of everything that is happening should be clearly identified. And third, the objectives of the agitation have to be, clear for each and every member, and it should be communicated to the adversary also.
Okay.
Now, on all these three fronts, this movement has completely failed to follow the Gandhian path.
Has the
and that is the
movement,
worrying fact.
okay, Praful, has the movement failed, or has this movement completely derailed? Sandeep Das, senior economic journalist, also joining us. Praful, stay with us. Sandeep Das, your thoughts on it. Has this movement failed, or they have derailed because there are certain vested interests trying to trigger this, trying to disrupt the talks between the center and the agitating farmers? 11 rounds of it almost were going initially in the right direction, and then the scripted mayhem of 26 Jan happened.
See, the point I always has been making for the last 2 months has been since the agitation started, is that some of the demand, most of the demand are very unrealistic. That most of these 42 farmers organizations who have been protesting, they have been stating that either repeal or we won't be talking. Although government has taken initiative to talk to them, almost 10-12 rounds of talks have happened, and they have agreed to some of the demand of them, that amendment to the electricity, proposed amendment to the electricity act, and also the banning of the paralysis and all those kind of. But to ask for minimum support price MSP, and also particularly, it's been prolonged for too long. Actually, this agitation has prolonged for too long. When government has put forth that they will withhold these 2 acts and 1 amendment for almost 1.5 years, so still they are adamant in terms of continuing with the struggle. There is no logic behind that. It's bound to happen because there is a fatigue factor, and there is a lot of disagreement of the farmers organization. There is only 42 farmers who are participating, not all the 450 farmers organizations in the country. We must realize that. And government has been very proactive in negotiating with them, and also the fact that as I said, most of the demand are very unrealistic. The MSP legal guarantee, government has stated that they will continue with the minimum support price operation
You're calling most of their demands unrealistic, Sandeep. Yes.
Has been quite unrealistic.
Okay,
Stubborn,
okay.
I should say.
Okay.
That my way or highway.
Okay.
That is a
yes.
problem here. And
you know that line, yes, that line, my way or highway. Praful Ketkar, my way or highway.
Have a division between themselves.
Okay.
And now the politics have also entered into that. So that will create, a lot of problem.
Do you see intensification of politics here, or now that we have a budget session lined ahead? And one thing is very clear, Praful Ketkar, that the opposition has already trained its gun to corner the government on this. Well, they tried to boycott the presidential address. Then they said that, well, this was not basically to insult the honorable president, but this was in support of the farmers. I mean, this is something which fails to cut ice. What are they trying to do? Disruptive politics. But my question to you, Praful Ketkar, is this going to be a bit more challenging now for the government? See, both sides are adamant. Today, again, our Honorable Prime Minister said that we stand firm on the stand taken on January 22nd, which actually means implementation of the laws. There's going to be a stay for a period of 12 to 18 months. And your agitating so-called farmers are also very firm on their stand.
No, see, if we get the facts right, then we understand the complexities involved. First of all, this is not a 2-month agitation. For last 4 to 5 months, this agitation has been always political, and this agitation always has been violent. many of us, we have missed the fact that this started in Punjab when they started actually damaging the railway tracks. Then subsequently they damaged the mobile towers. Actually, Captain Amrinder Singh faced this for a long time. Then he passed the resolution in the Punjab Assembly. Akali Dal withdrew from the government, and then actually the real thing started. Because please try and understand, the Akali Dal element, the communist element, Darshan Pal and Hanan Mullah, both are known communist faces.
Yes.
One is ultra left, the other is CPM. Then the elements who sometimes become, the JNU leader, then become a Dalit leader, then become a farmers leader. Wherever there is a problem, they have a tendency to jump. Those elements are there. So they don't have any congruent interest as far as this agitation is concerned. Everybody is trying to protect their own space. Everybody is trying to have their own political game. Now from government side, government has been very clear. One, we have to be very categorical on this, Sakal. Once a legislative process is taken place in the parliament and the law is passed, only legislation can, make certain changes in it. It cannot be decided on the roads. If we follow this method and we make this as a precedence, it will be a very wrong way to go for any parliamentary process. Two, as far as this particular bills are concerned, these were the demands, including Bharatiya Kisan Union, Shetkari Sangatna in Maharashtra, all prominent organizations that are involved in present day agitation also, they have been demanding, farmers should be, given freedom to sell their produce. Okay. Now, suddenly they have found some political space and there are elements, external as well as internal, some political game they want to play, and that is why this matter is complicated.
Okay, how complicated, Sandeep Das? How complicated is the matter? Despite what we saw, these unruly scenes, disgraceful scenes, desecration of the national symbol at Lal Killa, one of the, national monuments which defines us. Despite that, Sandeep Das, the government has shown large-heartedness, magnanimity to say that the agriculture minister is phone call away. You come and talk to us. Do you think these elements now stand exposed, including opposition, including Congress, including the political entities of the opposition that was spotted in that rally, so-called tractor rally?
Let me talk about a little bit of facts about this MSP. Legalization of MSP, that giving one of the demand of the farmers is the legalized MSP. It's one of the most unrealistic demand of any farmers organization, because government cannot be procuring all the food grains, all the 24 commodities which Commission for Agriculture Cost Price decide the minimum support price. It's very unrealistic. Today I have been repeating all over the social media, all over that the government purchased rice and wheat for the Punjab, Haryana, Odisha and other state for the National Food Security Program. And NAFED, the farmers cooperative, purchased some kind of oil seeds and pulses, and some cotton corporation media purchased cotton, and also some copra is procured. Entirely private sector does the procurement, and you are talking of the minimum support price for all the commodities that means distorting the market. And mind you, Punjab, Haryana and past of Uttar Pradesh, whose farmers are mostly agitating about this, their apprehension I can understand, because the problem is that the new legislation allows people to purchase directly from the farmers. That means what you are doing, that this APMC monopoly will be dismantled. It doesn't mean that APMC will be closed. There will be competition in the market. There will be direct purchase, and that to lead to I must educate your viewers that Punjab has a huge taxation problem. 8.5% tax they put on this procurement. So that they stand to lose, because direct purchase when it happens, there will be only 1% mandi charge and 1% maximum charges. Okay. So that is a key part of the entire agitation. That entire the APMC monopoly and the RTI commission, that is entirely fueling this problem. And also, some farmers feel that government will stop procurement of rice in Punjab and Haryana. That's not going to happen, because the government needs food grain, rice and wheat for National Food Security Act. But that does not mean that you open-ended procurement. And today, January 1st, let me share a fact. Today, the food corporation of India has a share of 80 million tons of food grain stock.
Okay,
and the buffer stock now is about 21 million tons.
Yes, the
we are holding on to 4 times food grain, and we are distorting the market. So this legislation, which was conceived as a, allowed direct purchase, more private sector investment in that, and farmers has been missing that point at all. And it was a agitation, and also supported by RTS, the commission agent, who will be losing out of the commission.
Okay.
And this this commission isn't mostly prevalent in Punjab and Haryana.
Okay. So basically, you're talking about the merits of the 3 agricultural farm laws. Yes.
So that the farmers organization must realize, and we must look ahead in terms of what is problem in the Punjab Haryana.
Yes.
What is problem, the ecological issue, the water table going down. They should diversify. Farmers must focus on those rather than focusing on a progressive legislation, which has been in debating for many. I must tell you that this legislation.
Now coming back to the optics of, and the larger messaging of the all-party meeting taken by the Prime Minister Sandeep ji, you're talking extensively about the merits of these farm laws, and what really makes Praful Ketkar coming to you, their demands unrealistic. But let's come back to what we wanted to talk about. The magnanimity of the government that yes, please come and talk, despite what happened on 26th of January. Do you think it's going to be a bit challenging for the government this time around? Basically, at the end of the day, this has to stop, the so-called agitation. This has to stop somewhere. Because now, you see, Praful Ketkar, it's causing a lot of inconvenience to the people. People were not reacting before, especially in the lows living in and around Singur border, etc. People are coming out, talking about it, and many farmers' union are now, they're distancing themselves, and some of them saying that this is going in a different direction. This is not what we started our agitation for.
Sakal, I must tell you 2 things. One is now the people living in bordering areas are very impatient because lakhs of people, travel to Delhi, either from UP border or Haryana border on daily basis. So they are facing, and that's why I have called this as a, Shaheen Bagh 2. Because there also the agitation did not have a clear objective. Here also the agitation is just adamant. Some apprehensions, some considerations which are not factual. But the rumor mongering and the, the emotions are so high and the ego issue is so, paramount for certain people that they are just stretching this agitation, but it is causing a lot of problem for the people around. And secondly, even if you think from the BJP's core constituency point of view, there is a lot of pressure on the government. Why government is not taking strict action after 26th? Why these farmers allowed to, go back to these, bordering camps and go back to their tents and, occupy the roads? This has been a pressure on the government. But still government is trying, and the way government is now talking to the opposition parties, it clearly shows because as sources clearly tell us, it was Mr. Rahul Gandhi and Mr. Kejriwal who actually passed on the message. Then Mr. From RLD, certain leaders communicated with Rakesh Tiket, and that's how the agitation got new oxygen. Otherwise, most of the farmers' organization were in the withdrawal mode after 26th incident. Now, this is a really challenging part for the government because government cannot repeal these laws, should not repeal these laws. Government has given again open arms. Now, I believe somehow again, judiciary should
Praful Ketkar, I think
after post 26 scenario.
Yes, Praful Ketkar, I think Congress particularly during this session of Parliament, they should make their line very clear cut. Do they subscribe to what happened on 26th of January? Do they subscribe to this, including dishonor to national flag? Having said that, Praful Ketkar, what do you think are the options with the government on this, considering the fact that today the line has been drawn by the Honorable Prime Minister himself, Praful Ketkar, that we are ready to talk, but then our stand on those 3 agricultural laws are firm. You think the opposition now is very adamant to keep the issue boiling because it suits them?
No, actually, opposition is, ideologically and issue-wise, completely cornered because they can't own the, there are three parts of this agitation. One, genuine farmers and farmer organizations. Two, political parties. And three, certain elements funded by outside. And I'm sure about this. I'm not talking, something which is imaginary. We have seen that on 26th. So, there are three elements. How to differentiate with them, how to deal with them, this is a real challenge for the government because government wants to talk to the real farmers.
Correct.
And farmers organizations. But when political parties are indirectly playing their game and certain, elements which are more destructive in nature, divisive in nature, you have to separate them. So you will have to deal with them legally. You have to deal with political parties politically, and you have to deal with farmers' organization on the issues of farm laws, because there are many more organizations who are coming in support of the laws rather than opposing it. So I think that's why this becomes very, very tricky. I hope that, because judiciary has also constituted a committee to negotiate with this. Judiciary takes a proactive stand post 26 and ask now, compel these organizations to come forward and talk to the committee.
Yes, Praful Ketkar. We'll leave it there. Many thanks, Sandeep Das, Senior Economic Journalist, and Praful Ketkar, RSS ideologue and editor-organizer, for joining us on Newsnight tonight. Moving on to other news that we are tracking for you, BJP National President JP Nadda on Saturday declared that the party would continue its alliance with the ruling AIADMK in Tamil Nadu for the coming assembly polls. Addressing a public meeting in Madurai on Saturday evening, Nadda said the BJP and the ruling AIADMK in Tamil Nadu would travel together in the development journey of the state as well the nation. He reiterated that the alliance between the two parties would be strengthened and consolidated for the coming state elections, highlighting the Modi government's role in developing Tamil Nadu. He said 5,42,048 crore rupees have been given to Tamil Nadu by the Finance Commission during its tenure. He also urged the electorate of the state to join hands with the BJP to integrate it with the national mainstream.
Bharatiya Janata Party has decided that in coming times in the elections, BJP, along with All India AIADMK and along with the like-minded parties, will be going for the election.
Philip Matthew, my senior colleague, joining us live from Chennai to tell us more about the messaging, the significance of what JP Nadda today said. Almost official, the party announcing its alliance with the ruling AIADMK, and that too on a development agenda. Development of Tamil Nadu would be the template. Philip Matthew?
Yes, what the BJP National President said today is essentially...
Philip Matthew, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Hello.
Okay, let's try and reconnect with Philip Matthew a bit later to talk about the significance of that message there. Meanwhile, let's shift our focus to the Delhi Police's investigations on the 26th January mayhem. According to the Delhi Police, there are around 38 FIRs that have been registered and 84 miscreants have been arrested in connection with the tractor rally violence on January 26th. The development comes following the tractor rally on 72nd Republic Day that turned violent when some protesters deviated from the pre-agreed routes. The protesters also breached barricades and clashed with police, in which over 400 police personnel were injured and 30 police vehicles were damaged. On Friday, Delhi Police had issued an appeal in leading newspapers asking people to share any evidence or information about the violence. Israeli ambassador to India, Ron Malka, has said that the low-intensity blast at the Israeli embassy in national capital on Friday evening could be a terror attack. He asserted that there is full cooperation between New Delhi and Tel Aviv to investigate the blast, adding Israel has full trust in Indian authorities. Meanwhile, investigations are underway. Crime investigation team has already collected samples from the spot. We have more.
Israeli Ambassador Ron Malka has said that there might be a connection between Friday's blast near the Israel embassy and the 2012 attack targeting the country's diplomats in Delhi. On February 13, 2012, an Israel embassy car exploded when a magnetic bomb stuck to it went off in a high-security area of New Delhi, injuring the wife of an Israel defense envoy in New Delhi. On the same day, a bomb was also planted under an Israel diplomatic car in the Georgian capital Tbilisi, but it failed to detonate.
It is a terror attack that targeted the Israeli embassy. Fortunately, as you mentioned, nobody was hurt, and all the diplomats and their families are safe.
Meanwhile, investigations are underway. A crime investigation team collected samples from the spot on Saturday. A half-burnt cloth and polythene bag recovered from the explosion site near the Israel embassy is being examined by the authorized agencies. Its link to the incident is yet to be ascertained. A team of National Security Guard also visited the explosion site near the Israel embassy to examine characteristics of explosives used. Delhi police sources said that Special Cell is questioning few Iranians living in the national capital in connection with Friday's explosion near the Israel embassy. The foreign nationals being questioned include those whose visas have expired. A suspicious letter has also been recovered from the spot. Israeli Ambassador Ron Malka said that New Delhi has given its assurances and offered all support and protection. Asserting that Israel has full trust in the Indian authorities, Malka said that there is a full collaboration between India and Israel authorities.
The investigation is ongoing, still gathering all the pieces and the evidence that we get from the scene and pieces of information from all over. There is a full collaboration between the Indian authorities and the Israeli authorities, and as of now, our assumption, strong assumption, that it is a terror attack that targeted the Israeli embassy. Fortunately, as you mentioned, nobody was hurt, and all the diplomats and their families are safe.
External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar spoke to Israeli Foreign Minister Gabi Ashkenazi on Friday evening about the explosion outside the Israeli embassy. The External Affairs Minister said the matter is under investigation and no effort will be spared to find the culprits, and assured him of the fullest cooperation for the embassy and Israeli diplomats. Bureau Report, DD India.
Well, news on COVID front, India continues to stay ahead of the curve, not only in terms of launching world's largest vaccination drive, but also implementing it. India is ahead of the United States, Israel and Britain as far as the speed of the vaccination drive is concerned. Meanwhile, vaccination inoculation drive is almost completed, 2 weeks timeline, and more than 35 lakh people have been vaccinated in the very first phase of the drive. And this pan-India COVID-19 vaccination in first phase actually covers healthcare workers, frontline workers in the initial phase. We have more.
India's vaccination drive, which had started on January 16th, is on at full swing. In the first phase of the drive, the health workers are being inoculated. Union Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan on Saturday said that so far more than 35 lakh people have been given the shot. About 5,72,000 people were vaccinated on a single day on Friday.
Under the leadership of our great visionary Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, adopting a whole of government, whole of society approach, we could fight against COVID with absolute commitment, dedication, valor, and whatever you can say. It was a great fight, and at the end of 1 year, we feel quite satisfied about our success, which is definitely much better than most of the countries of the whole world.
India's total active caseload has dropped to less than 1.7 lakh. The active caseload now consists of less than 1.6% of India's total positive cases. With a consistent rise in cumulative recoveries, India's recovery rate has reached nearly 97%. India's recovery rate is one of the highest globally. India has also significantly scaled up its COVID-19 inoculation drive. Over 37 lakh healthcare workers have so far been vaccinated across the country. 2,06,130 beneficiaries were vaccinated till 7 p.m. on Saturday. Also on Saturday, Union Health Secretary reviewed the status of COVID vaccination with health secretaries and NHM MDs of states and union territories. At the outset, the Union Health Secretary appreciated the exceptional and praiseworthy performance of all states and union territories on COVID-19 vaccination. Newsnight Desk, DD India.
Well, it's time to take a look at what else is happening across the country. National Wrap segment.
In Uttar Pradesh, 10 people were killed and 25 seriously injured in a tragic accident on Moradabad-Agra highway on Saturday morning. Police said the accident happened due to low visibility when a minibus collided with a tanker while overtaking another vehicle. The state government has announced an ex gratia of Rs 2 lakh each to the next of kin of the deceased and Rs 50,000 to those who are injured. In Assam, in view of the upcoming assembly polls, the Excise Department has notified helpline numbers for receipt of intelligence input about illegal production, storage and sale of liquor and to receive the grievances and information of violation of rule and distribution of liquor among voters to influence voting. In an unprecedented intelligence operation of the Wildlife Crime Control Bureau, New Delhi, 2 epicenters of illegal wildlife poaching and trade were identified in Anantnag area of Srinagar Valley and Manwal in Jammu. In a joint operation, officers of Jammu and Kashmir Chief Wildlife Warden and police conducted a raid in Anantnag and seized 8 leopard skins, 38 bear gallbladders, 4 musk deer pods. A person has been arrested in this connection. Meanwhile, Union Environment Minister Prakash Javadekar has congratulated the team on its continued commitment towards ending wildlife crime. In Jammu and Kashmir, 2 terrorists belonging to Hizbul Mujahideen outfit have surrendered before the security forces in Lelhar village of South Kashmir's Pulwama district. Police said that the 2 terrorists were trapped after the security forces cordoned the area late Friday evening. The terrorists surrendered along with 2 AK-47 rifles. In another major breakthrough in the 3,600 crore Augusta Westland VVIP chopper deal case, the Enforcement Directorate on Saturday arrested businessman and joint managing director of KRKB Limited Anup Gupta. According to ED officials, Gupta was arrested after the ED got several evidences against him in connection with its money laundering probe. A Delhi court on Saturday framed charges under money laundering against former Haryana Chief Minister Om Prakash Chautala in connection with disproportionate assets case. The court has set February 27th for commencing of trial in the matter. Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath held a meeting on Saturday in regard to the upcoming airport in Jewar. The meeting was conducted to decide the implementing agency for the completion of the Noida International Greenfield Airport. Meanwhile, work is underway for the first phase of the Noida International Airport, spread over 5,000 hectares. In Rajasthan, Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot launched their new phase of Ayushman Bharat Mahatma Gandhi Health Insurance Scheme. Under this scheme, 1 crore 10 lakh families of the state will get the benefit of health insurance. The new phase of the scheme, health insurance cover, has been increased from Rs 3,30,000 to Rs 5 lakh annually. The last date to apply for Nari Shakti Puraskar is January 31st. This year, 15 individuals, institutes and NGOs will be awarded for their work. The award includes a citation and 1 lakh rupees for the awardees.
Fantastic visuals of that Nari Shakti Puraskar. Now let's move on and talk about the Martyrs' Day that was observed across the country today. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Ramnath Kovind paid tribute to Mahatma Gandhi or Bapu on his death anniversary. Prime Minister Modi said MK Gandhi's ideals continue to motivate millions of people across the globe. Meanwhile, Martyrs' Day is observed every year on January 30th to mark the death anniversary of the father of the nation, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi or Bapu.
The nation paid homage to the father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi, on his 73rd death anniversary on Saturday. Not only the nation but the entire world paid tribute to this messiah of non-violence. The death anniversary of the father of the nation, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, is observed every year as Martyrs' Day. President Ramnath Kovind went to Rajghat and offered floral tributes to the father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu also visited Rajghat and paid tributes to Bapu. Prime Minister Narendra Modi paid his tribute to Bapu at Rajghat. Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla as well as Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh paid tributes to Bapu on his death anniversary at Rajghat. An interfaith prayer meeting was held at Rajghat, attended by all. Union Home Minister Amit Shah also paid homage to Father of the Nation Mahatma Gandhi on his death anniversary. In a tweet, the Home Minister said, "Heartfelt tributes to Mahatma Gandhi ji on his death anniversary." Another interfaith prayer meeting was held at Gandhi Smriti located on 30 Janwari Marg in Delhi, where a musical tribute was given to the revered Bapu. Vice President and Prime Minister were present at the place of martyrdom in this very complex. It was here that Mahatma Gandhi had spent the final days of his life.
Ram Narayanam Janaki Vallabham.
Whereas homage to the father of the nation was paid in different parts of the country. West Bengal Governor Jagdeep Dhankar paid tributes to Bapu on the 73rd death anniversary of the father of the nation Mahatma Gandhi, while Tamil Nadu Governor Banwari Lal Purohit also paid homage to the Mahatma. Everyone remembered Mahatma Gandhi and recalled his contribution. While Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath offered floral tributes to Mahatma Gandhi at Lucknow's GPO Park, Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar in Patna, Bhupesh Baghel in Raipur and Karnataka Chief Minister B.S. Yedurappa in Bengaluru paid tributes to the father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi, on his 73rd death anniversary. Whereas Tamil Nadu Chief Minister and Deputy Chief Minister also paid tributes to Bapu. Bapu may not be in our midst today, but he resides in the minds of every citizen. Bapu's ideals are alive in today's world as well. This is the day to remember those ideals, when this great son of Mother India sacrificed his life for justice, freedom, equality and fraternity. Bapu's ideals will always act as a guidepost for building a prosperous and benevolent society. With Bureau Inputs, Newsnight Desk, DD India.
Information and Broadcasting Minister Prakash Javadekar also paid rich tributes to Mahatma Gandhi on his 73rd death anniversary. The minister tweeted, and I quote, "The entire life of Mahatma Gandhi is an inspiration for all of us. We should all learn something from each moment of his life. Humble tributes to the father of nation, Mahatma Gandhi, on his death anniversary." Unquote. Moving on, President Nath Kovind today launched the Pulse Polio program by administering polio drops to children below 5 years at Rashtrapati Bhavan in New Delhi. And the Union Minister for Health and Family Welfare, Dr. Harshvardhan, also said that there are 24 lakh volunteers and 1.5 lakh supervisors working to make the country polio free. Around 70 crore children will be given polio drops.
भारत ने अपने आखिरी पोलियो के केस को 13 जनवरी 2011 को भारत में देखा। वेस्ट बंगाल के हावड़ा स्थान पर, और आज जब हम जनवरी 30 को आपके नेतृत्व में इस कार्यक्रम का श्री गणेश कर रहे हैं, तो भारत को पूरे 10 साल यानी पूरा एक दशक हो चुका है जब वो पोलियो को समाप्त कर चुका है।
Well, India has strongly condemned the vandalization of the statue of Mahatma Gandhi at the Central Park in city of Davis in California by unknown persons on January 28th. And the Embassy of India in Washington, D.C. has taken up the matter with the U.S. Department of State for a thorough investigation into the incident. Meanwhile, Ministry of External Affairs in a statement said, and I quote, "On 28 January 2021, the statue of Mahatma Gandhi at the Central Park in city of Davis in California was vandalized by unknown persons. The statue was a gift to the city of Davis by the Government of India in 2016. The Government of India strongly condemns this malicious and despicable act against a universally respected icon of peace and justice. The Embassy of India in Washington, D.C. has taken up the matter with the U.S. Department of State for a thorough investigation into the incident and appropriate action against those responsible for this despicable act." The Consulate General of India in San Francisco has separately taken up the matter with the city of Davis and local law enforcement authorities, which have initiated the investigations. The mayor of Davis deeply regretted the incident and informed that they have initiated an investigation. Local Indian community organizations have condemned the act of vandalism. The U.S. Department of State has conveyed that this act of vandalism is unacceptable and expressed the hope that perpetrators will be brought to justice as quickly as possible. Meanwhile, everyone present at the all-party meeting today held in Parliament back home also condemned this incident.
जो अमेरिका में आज मान पूज्य महात्मा गांधी जी का स्टैचू का वेंडलिज्म हुआ है, उसका तीव्र शब्दों में माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने खंडन किया है और ये बहुत बड़ा इंसल्ट है और प्रधानमंत्री जी ने कड़ी से कड़ी शब्दों में उसका निंदा की है।
A World Health Organization-led team of experts investigating the origins of COVID-19 on Saturday visited a hospital in the Chinese city of Wuhan that was one of the main hospitals treating patients with COVID-19 in the early stages of epidemic. Saturday is the second day of the field visits for the team after they came out of quarantine on Thursday. The team plans to visit labs, markets, hospitals during its remaining 2 weeks in Wuhan, where the coronavirus was first identified in late 2019. The WHO-led probe in Wuhan has been plagued by delays, concerns over access and bickering between China and US, which accused China of hiding the extent of initial outbreak and criticized the terms of the visit under which Chinese experts conducted the first phase of research. Staying with international news, Italy's head of the state has said that they are expecting to ask Lower House Speaker Roberto Fico to mediate in an ongoing political crisis that has brought down the government in the midst of the coronavirus and deep economic recession. The crisis was triggered when former Premier Matteo Renzi withdrew his tiny Italia Viva party from the coalition, depriving it of a majority in the upper house Senate and forcing Prime Minister Giuseppe Conte to resign. After 3 days of formal consultations with parties made little progress, President Sergio Mattarella is expected to try and buy more time by asking Fico from the co-ruling Five-Star Movement to carry on talks on his behalf. U.S. President Joe Biden toured a military vaccine distribution center on Friday, thanking personnel for their part in battle for coronavirus pandemic. Visiting Walter Reed National Military Medical Center in Bethesda, in Maryland, Biden met with wounded soldiers and was briefed on the center's COVID-19 vaccination procedures. Biden thanked the personnel for the job and said that they are making a big difference. Biden has unveiled a recovery plan worth $1.9 trillion to the packages, though the package is likely to be pared down amid worries about the nation's swelling debt. Biden spoke as Democrats who led the U.S. Senate and House of Representatives prepared to take the first steps next week towards delivering fresh assistance to Americans and businesses reeling from a pandemic that has killed more than 4,33,000 people. Staying with U.S. White House spokeswoman Jen Psaki has announced that U.S. President Joe Biden has called on Russian President Vladimir Putin to release jailed Kremlin critic Alexei Navalny during their phone call this week. Psaki said that Biden pressed Putin on a number of issues, including alleged election interference in 2020 election, Ukraine's sovereignty, the massive SolarWinds cyber hack, and Navalny. She also said that a review of the number of concerning actions by Russia is currently underway and that Biden reserves the right to respond to Russia in the manner of his choosing, the time of his choosing. The details about the phone call and what was discussed came at a time when Biden is adjusting United States policy in more robust ways, specifically towards Russia also, after predecessor Donald Trump refused to take on Putin directly. And a Russian court ordered that the brother and several allies of jailed Kremlin critic Alexei Navalny be put under house arrest, while Moscow police says they would close metro stations and streets near the Kremlin ahead of the planned protests. The court rulings are part of the crackdown targeting Navalny's allies after tens of thousands of people joined unsanctioned protests across Russia last Saturday to demand that the Kremlin releases Navalny from jail. The opposition politician's brother Oleg Navalny was well as ally Lyubov Sobol, Anastasia Vasileva and Oleg Stepanov were all placed under house arrest until 23rd of March for calling for protests last weekend that could have posed as a COVID-19 risk as well. Navalny's allies say they are being prosecuted to stifle their protest activity and campaigning. More world news. Morocco began its national coronavirus vaccination campaign in earnest on Friday after receiving vaccine shipments from AstraZeneca and Sinopharm. Clinics opened up at various locations, including northwestern city of Sale, where citizens aged 75 and above were being given the vaccine. King Mohammed inaugurated the campaign on Thursday and was given the vaccine at his palace in Fez. Morocco has Now, Morocco has received 2 million doses of AstraZeneca's vaccine manufactured by the Serum Institute of India and around 5 lakh doses of a vaccine made by China's Sinopharm. It began distributing them to centers around the countries this week. Up next, Canada. The Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau on Friday announced that Canada's major airlines have agreed to suspend all flights to Mexico and the Caribbean until April 30th, starting on Sunday, as part of the fight against a second wave of coronavirus. Trudeau also said that all arriving airline passengers would be required to take a mandatory COVID-19 test at the airport and then wait in a hotel for up to 3 days at their own expense until the results arrived. Only 4 airports will be open for returning international flights. That's Vancouver, Toronto, Calgary and Montreal. And in coming weeks, Canadian vacationers returning home from the US by land will have to show a negative COVID-19 test result before being allowed entry into Canada. The coldest snap in New York City all winter brought the ice skaters to Bryant Park, and with chilling winds and temperatures well below freezing, even the park's famous fountain formed icicles. Forecasters predicted it would stay cold all weekend ahead of the winter snowstorm that could blanket the city in white early next year. And back home, acclaimed sand artist Sudarshan Patnaik has paid rich tributes to Mahatma Gandhi on his 73rd death anniversary. Sharing one of his sand arts, Sudarshan Patnaik said the country should embrace Mahatma Gandhi's message of peace and universal brotherhood. And with that, it's time to close this edition of Newsnight. We will be back tomorrow at 9. Stay with us on DD India. Namaskar.